The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
I'm such a fan of this guy. And you talk about people who have stood the test, and we were just talking with Dr. Furnish about people who would stand the test and stand against it. And this man is Joel Gilbert, and he has done 2 movies, and the second one that's out there entitled Road to Utopia, and now this. Joel, good morning. We got kind of like a crack in the background. Where are we speaking to you from?
I'm on my landline here in my office in Los Angeles. I think that sounds good. Good to talk to you.
Works for me. What's been going? I mean, I just got something sent to me on the internet that now there's now a movement to have Congress investigate the life of Barack Obama. What's happened with you?
Well, I think that's a good thing if they finally look into this guy's background, because I think if he told the truth, or if someone had looked into him seriously, no one would have voted for him.
What are we watching happen? I mean, you know, your film Road to Utopia, by the way, how's the film doing?
Yeah, so there's no place like Utopia. We were in Denver, as you know, back in July. You came to one of the screenings, had a fantastic response. Then we moved it on to Houston for a couple weeks. It did very well in Houston. And we ran into what we ran into with MSNBC, or the NBC affiliate. If you recall, they didn't want to take our money because they said, well, the election's coming up and it might be too political.
You should see the ads they've taken. There's a real sleazy operative here by the name of Michael Huttner.
Okay.
He's the guy that ran that contest, helping Barack Obama change America. He and his little butt boy, little weasel by the name of Jason Saltzman. Okay. They ran a contest that never had a winner, and they should have been prosecuted for what they did. He bought time against Bob Beaupre on a banking ad that's just a blatant lie. They never vetted that ad, but they all bought that ad. They all let him buy that ad, and of course they kept you off. I thought that was amazing.
Well, that's what we ran into. We were looking to take the film national to 1,500 theaters after Houston, and we ran into some of the theater chains were saying, well, is this too close to the election? Is this political? They started asking that question. And then some of our investor folks that were going to help bring it national were also concerned about getting audited and such. So we just kept working at it, and we decided finally we're just going to go to a DVD release and on demand in iTunes on December 1st. So that's where we're going to see the film, is on cable networks, iTunes. It is available now on the website. There's no place like utopia.com. So we're not doing a big national theatrical release, but it will be available widely.
Do you have a take on this Ebola in the country today?
Well, the take is we had a chance to stop flights coming in from Liberia, and of course the Obama administration won't do anything when it comes to protecting America, Middle America. The entire socialist game plan is to disrupt life, make you feel insecure, make you feel that you can't get a handle on your life. And they'll say, give us the power and we'll control things for you. We'll make it right for you. So it's just another thing that they can add to the mix that will cause chaos in America, which they will use to keep power. That's how I look at it.
So this is a loaded question. Watching all of this happen, we play a really interesting takeoff. Matter of fact, we should play that for Joel. I had this weird idea the other morning, and you've met Casey and you know Mark Crowley. Let me just put you on hold if I could for a second. This is with full value, you guys. This president said this 2 weeks ago, and we have taken off on it, if you would.
First and foremost, I want the American people to know that our experts here at the CDC and across our government agree that the chances of an Ebola outbreak here in the United States are extremely low.
So don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry.
We've been taking the necessary precautions, including working with countries in West Africa to increase screening at airports so that someone with the virus doesn't get on a plane for the United States. In the unlikely event that someone with Ebola does reach our shores, we've taken new measures so that we're prepared here at home. We're working to help flight crews identify people who are sick.
Let me see your identification.
You don't need to see his identification.
We don't need to see his
These aren't the
identification.
droids you're looking for.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
Don't worry. Don't worry, don't do it. Be happy.
We've been taking the necessary precautions.
Put a smile on your face. Don't bring everybody down.
All right, back to Joel. Do you believe this is all happening? By the way, those are his words. He said those. That was 16 days ago. He said that stuff, and of course you can see that we counted 7 lies in 44 seconds. Is he doing this with intent?
Absolutely. We've gotten to the point where if you want to know the truth, you just have to imagine that whatever Obama says, it's the opposite. It's the exact same as it was in the Soviet Union, the days of Pravda. Mm-hmm. I visited dissidents once in Russia when I was a student, and they would read Pravda knowing it was all lies, and they said, we read this because to know the truth, we have to imagine the opposite. So everything Obama says is either irrelevant or it's the opposite of the truth, and that's where we're at.
That's how I watch Brian Williams in the evening news.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I'm not making that up. That's how I read the Denver Post. I know it's something else.
Yeah, we live in opposite world, Peter.
Listen, I'm going to see you soon. I don't know, brother. Tomorrow we got Mike Zullo on the radio show, so...
yeah, I could make a few comments if you like.
If you would.
Yeah. First of all, there was some, in my film, I show... Of course, Dreams from My Real Father, that Frank Marshall Davis, we have a mountain of evidence that he's the biological father of Obama, who then became even more important, the ideological father, to know what Obama's really about. And I also have a mountain of evidence, of course, that the Kenyan is not the father. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so people like to attack the film. They've been doing that for years, and they like to talk about the nude photos we have of Anne. Mm-hmm. I think there's an excellent case when you look at those. I did establish with graphic artists, with dentists who match the teeth, the ears, the nose. Tremendous amount of research went into that.
I believe it's her.
Yeah, and they like to state certain things that are not proven. So
right.
we've proven it. Pretty much the floorboards match. Everything matches.
Sure.
So this is something that I think does stand up. And the other concern I wanted to mention was, have you discussed the Dinesh D'Souza sentence? I have some concerns about
that. I'm not a fan of D'Souza, but I think he's going to end up in jail, isn't he?
Well, here's what happened. I think it's not about D'Souza. It's more about using him to set an example.
Exactly. Thank you.
And he even expressed relief that he didn't get prison time, actually.
I thought he was going to get it.
Well, no, he was sentenced. I'll tell you what the sentence was. I think it was quite severe, actually, even though it didn't have prison time. He's got 8 months on work release. And that's a little bit deceptive because that means you live in a camp.
That's when I thought he was going to go to jail. Yeah, I thought he was.
Well, it's worse because you go to this labor camp where you go out and clean graffiti and clean the roads all day.
Right.
It's like the gulag, hard labor.
No, he's going to jail.
Well, it's kind of a jail, and then they sent him to see a psychologist, which is like the Soviet-era reprogramming.
That's exactly what I thought as well.
And then they gave him 5 years probation, and he has to teach English once a week for 5 years. So I think he might have been better off like Martha Stewart, just going to jail for 8 months, or real jail, and write a book.
Do the time.
But I think they made an example of him, and I think they overcharged him as well. So that is
I agree with you. I am not a fan of D'Souza, but at the same time, I think just like when you and I have talked about, when they took this guy that they claimed made that movie that started all of Benghazi, and they put him in the gulag. They did. That was Hillary Clinton. That was the president. I'm sure Joe Biden was in on it, but they put him in the gulag. Maybe Biden wasn't in on it because they just kept him out of the room, but they gulagged that guy. And I think Eric Holder probably was part of that as well.
Well, it's of great concern. They've moved from ridiculing people, looking into their finances, persecuting people because they support a certain opinion, to physically putting people in these, gulag type of punishments. So the trend is toward a worse abuse of power, not toward controlling it, unfortunately.
We'll talk, brother. I'll let you know how everything goes down.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.